What's up, everybody? Josh E. Red, Practical Theism, doing a quick reflection on John 8. Before I head into work today, I've been thinking a lot about a number of things. I'm always thinking. My mind's always turning. And Amber and I just so happened to be talking about a conversation we had with someone recently about religion, and, the idea came up that, it's just about... religion's more about like being a good person, than anything. And that's why people get involved in religion. And this verse, I think, kind of sheds a little bit of light onto this type of conversation. He makes a comment, Jesus makes a comment saying that these people that he's addressing are from below. They're from below the world, whereas I am from above. He is from above. And the reasons that he gives are that the Father sent him and that he is one with the Father, right? He's united with the Father, and he does ultimately the will of the Father. And it got me thinking this morning about this conversation I had married with this verse. And we often look at the Christian thing as, what is the Christian thing? Is it really just to become a good person? Is goodness really the ultimate end of it? And, my first thought when I started kind of looking at it too is, no, it's not. That goodness and becoming a good person is a byproduct of what Christianity really is about and what faith is really about. But it's not the whole thing. In the matter that we reduce it down to that, it can seem like, well, you could get little spurts and ideas of goodness from anywhere. But what is so different about the Christian thing? And my morning reflection that I was thinking about that I wanted to share is that the Christian thing obviously is much more than just being a good person, though being a good person and that transformation of becoming a good person is a byproduct of it. Why do we say that? And it's because Christianity primarily is a relationship with Jesus, the Son of God, and a relationship with God himself, ultimately. What does that look like, and what does that mean? What does a relationship with God mean? Why do we have to have a relationship with God versus not having a relationship with God? Well, we can look at it from one perspective. Having a relationship with God, and Amber brought this up, and I thought it was really good. God, what's with Christianity? Well, Christianity is, you want to give God glory, right? But if God's perfect, he doesn't need our glory. He doesn't need our worship. It's not something that satiates some sort of desire that he has. He doesn't need it. So if that's the case, if he doesn't need it, then that desire that's innate in everybody, in every human being, to worship and give honor and glory due to something, whether it's ourselves or someone else or some object in the universe, that desire has to be there for a reason. It was instilled in us for a reason, right? So if we have that desire in us, but God himself doesn't need it, then our need to give worship and honor to something must be for our good rather than for God's good. And if that's the case, if it is for our good, then what does that look like? Well, we see it on full display kind of in this verse where Jesus is ultimately doing what the Father has told him to do. It's obedience to God. And as the church tells us, it's the Christian thing is the transformation into sons and daughters of God. Sons and daughters of the Most High. And we see this on most full display with Jesus. Jesus is God incarnate. He is the ultimate epitome of what it looks like to be fully communed with God. And that's the goal, the target of every believer, right? And we're brought about that through grace and through God working through us to bring that about, that obedience about. And so when we look at God and this idea that we're being transformed or translated into sons and daughters of the Most High, we have to look at what a son and daughter of the Most High looks like. And we see that again on full display with Christ. And in order to understand that, if we look at my son takes on my nature. Whatever my nature is, my human nature. God has a nature. What do we understand about his nature? Well, we understand that God is love itself. God is goodness itself. He's truth itself. He is the ultimate act of being, right? He is the first mover. He is the first principle. And when we understand all of these aspects of his nature, of what God is. And a lot of those have been derived. We should do another video on that, actually. A lot of those are derived from what we understand that God is not. But if we understand that God is love, then what does a son of God look like? Well, Son of God looks like love. We take on that nature of love, full confirmation to that love. And if God is love, he wants what's best for us. And so the life of a Christian, or the life of a believer, why be Christian, or what is the Christian thing? It's to become a person that has that nature. Not that it necessarily happens or rides on our own thing, like it's all up to us. Like, that's not what I'm purporting. But that being said, goodness is one of the things that we say God is. Therefore, becoming a good person is a byproduct of proper alignment and the transformative process that one goes through as they are walking with God and following after Christ and allowing God to transform them into his nature. So naturally, when one is truly aligning themselves with God, we would see the byproduct of goodness coming out of that person, and love coming out of that person, and truthful speech, truth coming out of that person. So, but it's not what the thing is. Just going back to that, the primary focus of religion is not to become a good person, but it's to give God proper due, proper justice that is due, or proper glory that is due in justice, because of him being the creator of everything that's around us. So anyways, a lot of thoughts going on in my head about that, but I just wanted to share that. Hopefully it's helpful. I'm curious to know your thoughts. What if you were to answer this question? I'm curious. If you were to answer this question, what is religion really about? Or what is Christianity really about? How would you answer that? And if somebody posed the objection to you that religion or Christianity, all religions boil down to wanting to be a good person or a moral and ethical person, how would you answer that to somebody who's looking for those answers? It's a great question. It really is. And I think we got to get really good at articulating it. So anyways, throw your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button, pound the subscribe button, like you mean it, so we can get more of this awesome content. And from all of us here at Practical Theism, we'll catch you next time.